Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever just stopped to think about the instruction manual that makes you, well, you? I mean the blueprint that decides everything from your eye color to your hair. Well, today, we're going to unfold that blueprint and really dig into the incredible system that makes every single one of us unique.
So, let's just dive right in with the big question. What is the instruction manual for a living thing? The answer, is tucked away deep inside every one of our cells, and we're about to go on a little journey to find it.
So, the way we're going to do this is with a kind of a zoom lens. We'll start big picture, with you, and then we're going to zoom right in, past all your tissues and organs into one single cell, and then go even deeper to find the molecules that hold the code of life itself.
And here we go. This is our roadmap. This image does a great job of showing how it all fits together. See, we start with a cell. Inside that cell, you've got the control center, the nucleus. And then inside the nucleus, you find these things called chromosomes. And if you could unwind a chromosome, you'd see it's really just a super coiled up strand of that famous molecule, DNA.
You can think of the nucleus like a huge library. And if the nucleus is the library, then the chromosomes, they're the bookshelves, keeping all that genetic information perfectly organized. Right. So a chromosome isn't just some messy tangle of DNA. No way. It's actually a masterpiece of packaging. It's a super long strand of DNA that's been tightly wrapped around proteins. This is what keeps that whole instruction manual compact, organized, and safe from getting damaged. So how many of these bookshelves do we actually have? Well, in pretty much every single human cell, there are 23 pairs of them. We get one set of 23 from our mom and a matching set of 23 from our dad. That gives us a grand total of 46. Okay, so if chromosomes are the bookshelves, what are the actual books? Or maybe a better way to think about it is, what are the individual recipes inside those books? Well, those are the genes. We're now zooming in to read the instructions themselves. And here's the key idea. A gene is just a specific section of DNA that holds the instructions for building one specific thing, a protein. It's like a single recipe in a giant cookbook. You might have one gene that's the recipe for the protein that gives you curly hair. But, for any recipe, there can be different versions, right? A recipe for a cake might call for chocolate, but another version could call for vanilla. In genetics, these variations are called alleles. They're just different versions of the same gene. So the gene is for eye color, but one allele might code for blue eyes and another one for brown. And this image right here illustrates that perfectly. What we've got is a pair of chromosomes, one from each parent. You can see they both have a gene for eye color, hair texture, and ear shape, and they're all in the same location. But look closer. For eye color, one chromosome has the allele for blue eyes, and the other one has the allele for brown. And this brings us to a couple of key terms. If you get the same allele from both of your parents, say 2 alleles for straight hair, then you are homozygous for that trait. But if you get 2 different alleles, like one for blue eyes and one for brown, then you're heterozygous. See? It's as simple as that. Okay, so we've got the code, the genes, but how does a string of code on a DNA molecule actually become a physical thing, like a trait you can see? Well, the answer comes down to the body's ultimate workers, proteins. This right here, this is one of the most fundamental rules in all of biology. The whole point of the genetic code is to be read and then translated into proteins. It's these proteins that go on to do all the work. They build our bodies and run all the chemical reactions inside us. This slide lays out the whole process from start to finish. It all begins with that DNA sequence, the code. That code tells the cell how to string together these building blocks called amino acids. Then that chain of amino acids folds up into a really specific 3D shape. And that shape is everything. It determines exactly what job the protein does. And finally, the protein's actions inside the cell create a result we can actually see, like our eye color. And the jobs these proteins do, wow. They're incredibly diverse. They can be enzymes that speed up chemical reactions. They can be antibodies that hunt down and fight off infections. Or they can be receptors that let our brain cells talk to each other. They really are the workhorses of the body. All right, so now that we've gone from the big picture all the way down to the tiny molecular level, let's zoom back out and use everything we've learned to look at a perfect, real-world example, how our biological sex is determined. So let's meet the main characters in this story, the X and Y chromosomes. This is our 23rd pair of chromosomes, also called the sex chromosomes. And as you can see, the X chromosome is a lot bigger and carries way more genes than the little Y chromosome. The rule here is super simple. If you inherit two X chromosomes, one from each parent, your biological sex is female. If you inherit one X and one Y, your biological sex is male.
So, who actually determines the sex of the child? This slide makes it totally clear. Since a mother has two X chromosomes, she can only pass on an X chromosome in her eggs. A father, on the other hand, is XY, so his sperm can carry either an X or a Y. That means it's the father's contribution that actually determines the outcome.
This chart, it's called a Punnett square, lays out all the possibilities so nicely. The mother's possible contributions are up top and the father's are on the side. And you can see pretty clearly there are two chances to get XX, which results in a girl, and two chances to get XY, which results in a boy.
Which means when you do the math, there's a 50% chance of having a boy and a 50% chance of having a girl every single time. It's basically a perfect coin flip, and it's all decided by these chromosomes.
So, to wrap up our whole journey, the code is in the DNA. Specific parts of that code, called genes, act as recipes for proteins. And then those proteins go on to build and run the body, resulting in everything that makes you, well, you. It's just a truly amazing system.
But that leaves us with one last really fascinating question to think about. If every single cell in your body, from the cells in your eyeball to the ones in your hair follicles, has the exact same complete set of genes, why isn't your eye made of hair? It's a great question and something to chew on for next time. Thanks so much for joining me.